Let's talk about some great news. I know people really don't like great news. They like negative things. That's 100% provable by anyone that has a YouTube channel that does information like this. You will always get more people to watch negative things. It's an unfortunate fact, and we need to change that. Change our minds into wanting to see good things. You've got to guard your gates, your eyes and your ears. Okay, so Acts 17 Apologetics, David Wood did a video a couple days ago talking about a very prominent Muslim scholar that is warning Muslim families and just Islam in general that there is a coming, well, it's already happening, Islamic exodus, meaning that so many of them are leaving the religion of Islam. And I'm going to show you parts of David's video, but I'm going to explain to you why this is and what's going on psychologically in their minds. He's going to explain it in a way that, because he is very much into, does Christian apologetics for Muslims, okay? Calling out all of the things. If you don't know who he is, sub to his channel. He has a great channel. I'll put the link below. But he's going to go through what's going on and how they can fix this and all of these things. But I'm going to tell you something that I don't think most people realize. Well, because mainly it's kind of private. They can't really publicize this kind of stuff. But what's going on is this corona situation and shutting down Christian churches and arresting pastors, threatening worship teams. If they sing, they're gonna get a $1,000 fine, or forcing quarantines on Christians if they go to church. They're having their license plates taken down, forcing people to send in a list of their congregants, all of these crazy things. Christian churches in the United States. You know, a few years back we would have thought this would never happen. But anyway, let's look at the bright side of this. This is what's going on. People aren't stupid. I mean, there's stupid people, but they're in general, they really aren't when they stop using emotions and actually look at a situation and what's going on, okay? And so what's going on right now is Muslims across the world are looking to the U.S. as people have always, you know, we're the superpower, we're the, you know, whatever, we're the U.S. And they're looking at the U.S. and they talk to their friends and family members and all of these things, and they're seeing this. They're seeing Christian pastors being arrested in the bastion of freedom? Wait, in the United States. Wait, hold on. I thought the United States hated Muslims. Why are they doing this to Christians? Wait, hold up. What's going on here? This is what's going through their minds, okay? And we have proof of this because they've talked about it privately. So they're thinking, what? How is this happening? How come the mosques are still open in the U.S.? How come their imams and, you know, whatever their preachers are called, why aren't they being arrested? How come Muslims' license plates aren't being taken down and threatened? Wait, hold on. Why is this just happening to Christians in the United States? I'm telling you, they're putting these things together. And this is what they're coming up with. They're saying, hold on. In Islam, we are forced to be a Muslim and follow the Quran and the Hadiths. And if we say that we don't believe, we can be beheaded. We can be killed. We can be ostracized by our family. But in the U.S., where people can do whatever they want, they have religious freedoms, these Christian people are willingly still going to church at the expense of being arrested. Why would they do that? And then, people can argue the fact that, oh, well, the Muslims did it in that other country. They all went to that funeral or whatever. Yes, they did. But hold on. Stick with me here. They're putting together this, and they see history as well, too, where with all the martyrs and all of these things. And they're thinking, hold on. Our leaders force us to conform to Islam. They force us to. But we have to believe, or at least pretend we believe, and we have to wear the hijab, and we have to do this, and we have to do that. And there's many true believers of Islam. Don't get me wrong. Stick with me. But they're putting these puzzle pieces together. They're saying in their minds, and Allah, they've said it, the leaders want us to worship Allah. Why? Wouldn't we pray to Allah to save us from this persecution, to stop the tyranny? But our leaders aren't concerned about Allah. But the Christians, their leaders, hold on. Their leaders are afraid of their God. Not so much afraid of their God just randomly, but they're afraid that when people get together and pray together and truly bow down and humble themselves and ask God for forgiveness and repent and say, heal this land, it could actually happen. Well, how could that actually happen? Why? Wait, hold on. The leaders are truly afraid of that. And, they'll go through the internet and go through things, and then they hear about, Pharaoh in history. Yeah, Pharaoh in Egypt. He tried to fight it. Didn't work out good for Pharaoh, now did it? Well, hold on. Let me keep flipping through. Wait, what? Okay, hold on. And then it happened to Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar dropped to his knees, the most powerful man in the world, by just little Daniel explaining to him his dream that he didn't even tell anybody about. All Daniel had to do was pray and ask God to interpret that dream for him. Nebuchadnezzar dropped to his knees in front of a little Hebrew boy, because he's like, whoa, your God knows something. Then we had when Nebuchadnezzar threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire. They turned it up. In the fire. Wait, there's 4 of them down there. He asks his guards, wait, didn't you turn on the fire? Wait, what's going on? Why are they walking around in the fire? Somebody explain to me why these 3 Hebrew boys are walking around in a fire and they're not burned, they're nothing. Nothing's going on. And there's a 4th person in there. Who is the 4th person? It looks like an angel, is what Nebuchadnezzar said. They opened the door and they said, hey, I don't know. Okay, there's something going on with your God, and we're going to go ahead and promote you. Nobody make fun of their God. Nuh-uh. Nobody can make fun of their God. There's something going on with this Hebrew's God. And this has happened throughout time. This is why they are afraid for us to come together. That's why they want us to get away from Christianity. No, don't believe that crap. That's crazy. because the leaders are truly afraid. They know. They know. People think, oh, no, they're non-believers. No. The leaders know. They know darn good and well that our living God is the one true God. And they don't want us getting together and praying and asking our God to stop this tyranny, because it could actually happen. And we have the Muslims saying, well, that's not happening with us. They're forcing us to pray and nothing's happening. Is Allah's not real. The Christian God is real. These people are willing to die for Christianity when we have to die to say that we don't believe. They're not stupid, y'all. This is what's going on. It's a beautiful thing. There was Brother Spell was able to help facilitate over 100 baptisms in Pakistan last week. Beautiful. They did it in some sea or ocean that they have over there in Pakistan. He said he didn't even know if it was 100. It might have been more than that, because they kept going on and on. There's missionaries out there, and they have to stay private because you kind of get offed in places like that. But Muslims are seeing this. They're seeing that, whoa, these people are risking their lives to continue assembling and worshiping their God. And see, you can argue the fact and say, wait, those Muslims went to that funeral. Yeah, they went to that funeral to honor that man. It was an imam that they thought was somebody, Muhammad. They essentially worship Muhammad. Look, I'm not gonna go into all of those details right now, but this is what they're seeing, and this is what they're admitting. This is what happens in so many, David has heard this, David Wood has heard this, Brother Spell, all of these missionaries out in these places, and they're seeing it everywhere. So, there's always a reason. Yeah, I'm gonna still call out Christian persecution, absolutely. But when these things happen, it opens people's eyes. The same thing occurred when Christianity essentially just like exploded back in the during the plague of the early, I don't remember actually it was multiple plagues, but when I think it was the Black Plague, whatever one, the pagans were literally throwing their family members out of their homes because they had the virus, they had the plague, throwing them out in the streets. People are dying in the streets, y'all. It was not like this Kobe situation going on here. They were dying everywhere. People were fleeing the cities. Get away from these lepers. They weren't really lepers, but you see what I'm saying? They had this plague. They didn't know what to do. Their sorcery wasn't working. None of this was working. What did the Christians do? Does anybody remember? They ran into the cities. They stayed. They took care of not only their people, meaning their fellow Christians, they were taking care of the pagans. And the pagans saw this and they were like, hold up. How are they living? Now, yes, some of them did die from it, but a lot of them survived. A lot of them survived. And the pagans saw this and said, hold up. There's something going on here. Something going on. I think your God might be real. Look, all you people ran in here, helped us pagans. You still loved us all. You helped us. You didn't run away like my own family members that threw me onto the streets. What? Wait, your God might be real. It's the only answer. So, wait. That must mean, okay, how do I become Christian? This has happened over and over in history, y'all. And that's what was making me so frustrated with churches shutting their doors. I wholeheartedly believe, no matter how you feel about this virus, it's real, fake, I mean, whatever, however you feel about the virus, this was a test. Separating the wheat from the chaff. Separating those who worship the Creator or those who worship the creation, meaning your physical, fleshly body. I wholeheartedly believe that this was a test, and this, because when these things happen like this, it is for the glory of God. Always. Even though sometimes we don't even know we're doing it like that, we're just like, we're still going to do that. I'm still going to drive 2.5 hours to go worship because all of my churches around me shut down. Because there's something that happens whenever you're worshiping together. And that's why they don't want you together. They know it. When I say they, I mean they, the elites. And the Muslim people are seeing this. They're seeing that, holy crap. Wait. Something's amiss here. If their rulers, their leaders, their presidents don't want them to congregate to pray, even if they wore masks and it stayed 6 feet apart, because they can go to their Walmart. They see this. They're not dumb. They're seeing this. Just like we're seeing like how ridiculous it is. We can go to Walmart. We can go to Academy. We can go here. We can go there. But you can't go to church. Even if you stayed 6 foot apart from each other, which you technically could absolutely do, they still made sure to make an example out of Brother Spell and a few other pastors, and having these people protest outside the churches and all of these things, because they know. All right, let's listen to what David Wood breaks down this video.
You know, if I weren't a diagnosed psychopath, I might feel bad for the Muslim leaders who are starting to recognize that there is absolutely nothing they can do to keep Muslims from leaving Islam. Can you imagine 14 centuries of slaughtering unbelievers in the name of Allah, raping female captives, forcing people to convert, and executing anyone who tries to leave, only to lose it all because the internet, Facebook, YouTube? While Muslims are still running around thumping their chests and screaming, "Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world," Muslim leaders are getting call after call after call. My son just said he's no longer a Muslim. My daughter just said she doesn't want to wear the hijab. And the Muslim community can't figure out what to do because they're not used to this. For 14 centuries, they would deal with apostasy through violence and intimidation. Now they can't, and there's no plan B in Islam. Bilal Phillips warns the Muslim community of Canada that they're in trouble.
The Muslim community here, in a minority circumstance, is a high-risk community.
He admits that in a Muslim country, the situation is different because of the cultural pressure to conform.
Back home in our countries, where people grow up practicing Islam as a culture, as tradition, everybody conforms because of the pressure of the community, the relatives, etc.
The result is that it's rare for people to announce their apostasy in Muslim countries.
It is rare that you would find back home a young man or a young woman addressing their parents, their family, and telling them, I don't believe in Allah.
But things are different in the West, even for Muslim parents who are raising their children to be devout Muslims.
While I was in Doha, Qatar, one sister called me from here, from a religious practicing family, Islamically active. She said, my son memorized the Quran at the age of 10.
Obviously, a child who has memorized the entire Quran in Arabic will know that Islam is true, because the Quran is just so amazing in Arabic.
But at the age of 15, 5 years later, she's calling. She said he came home and told us that he doesn't believe in Allah.
Phillips is hearing so many stories of young people leaving Islam that he has to warn the Muslim community about the coming avalanche of apostasy.
And if we don't take constructive steps to deal with this, it is going to become an avalanche, a tsunami that is going to hit our community in such a way that we will have a very difficult time standing. It will knock us over.
An avalanche of apostasy?
An avalanche.
A tsunami of apostasy?
A tsunami.
What's it going to do?
It will knock us over.
But Bilal Phillips believes that there's a solution. What's the solution, Bilal?
So this is what we have to convey to our young people. We have to connect them to the Quran intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, physically, in such a way that they have no doubt.
Connect them to the Quran so that they have no doubt? That is adorable. Bilal, young people reading the Quran is what gives them doubts, because the Quran totally contradicts everything they're told by their Muslim leaders and their Muslim parents. When young people read the Quran and they go to their Muslim leaders and their Muslim parents and they ask, why does Allah command men to beat rebellious wives? Why does Allah command us to attack Jews and Christians? Their leaders and their parents reply, oh, what Allah really meant is something completely different from what He said. And this doesn't remove doubts, it increases doubts, because the young Muslims are being told that Allah is a horrible communicator who can't say what He means. So there's no way to keep young people from doubting the Quran. What else you got, Bilal?
And also, they should know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They should know him well.
Same mistake. How are young people going to learn about Muhammad? It had better not be by reading about him in Islam's most trusted sources, because nothing will convince Muslims to leave Islam faster than reading what Muhammad's companions said about him. So the only thing Muslim leaders and Muslim parents can do is try to convince young Muslims to believe in a fictional Muhammad, one who never existed, by giving them modern books about Muhammad that present a watered-down, whitewashed Walt Disney version of Muhammad. But that's not going to help, because there are people like us who are going to tell these young Muslims the truth about Muhammad. And we're going to be the ones who are quoting Islam's most trusted sources. And the young Muslims are going to realize that their leaders and their parents have been lying to them. and they're going to leave Islam. Hilariously, Bilal Phillips gives an example of how to respond to a young Muslim's doubts about Islam. It's a disaster. Here's how he sets it up.
The Prophet ﷺ, as this individual that I spoke with a few days ago raised, did not prohibit slavery. So, slavery is evil. Why not? What kind of prophet is this? God is condoning slavery?
It's not simply that Muhammad didn't prohibit slavery. It's that Muhammad bought, owned, sold, and traded slaves and had sex with his female slaves, and Muslims in the West have been told that Muhammad abolished slavery, and they're realizing that they've been lied to and that they can't trust their leaders or their parents. So, Bilal, how are you going to correct these young Muslims?
But he didn't know how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ treated those who were slaves. The slaves who were in his household, he adopted, made them a part of his family. They loved him so much that when their own parents came, they preferred to stay with the Prophet ﷺ as a slave rather than go with their own parents.
Oh my goodness, Muhammad adopted his slaves? They didn't want to go back to their own families? There are young people who are dumb enough to fall for an answer like that. But when they go and share that answer on the internet, they're going to be in trouble. What happens if they take a closer look at Bilal's response? Here's what they'll find. Muhammad didn't adopt his slaves. He adopted one particular slave, Zayd ibn Haritha. Zayd was Khadija's slave before she married Muhammad. When she married Muhammad, she gave Zayd to Muhammad as a present. Zayd's parents eventually came looking for him because he'd been kidnapped, and Zayd said that he was going to stay with Muhammad. Muhammad was so impressed that he adopted Zayd, and Zayd was then called Zayd, son of Muhammad. This was before Muhammad declared himself to be a prophet. After Muhammad declared himself to be a prophet, things began to change. One day, Muhammad saw Zayd's wife, Zainab, practically naked, and he walked away praising God. Zayd found out about it and divorced Zainab so that his prophet and adopted father could have her. Muhammad married Zainab, but this caused an uproar in the community because marrying the wife of your own adopted son was frowned upon by everyone. Allah really doesn't like people criticizing Muhammad, so Allah abolished adoption. There's no more adoption in Islam. Zayd was later sent on a raiding expedition and was killed. Notice, Bilal was very selective in the information he presented, and he pretended deceptively that Muhammad adopted all of his slaves, when Muhammad abolished adoption in order to justify taking the wife of the one slave he actually adopted. Muhammad's other slaves, and he had many, were simply slaves. And again, Muhammad had sex with his female slaves. Bilal Phillips, like every other Muslim leader, wants young Muslims to accept his answer without digging deeper. Is this approach going to stop the avalanche of apostasy? Is it going to stop the tsunami of apostasy? No. Bilal's response here is a perfect example of why the Muslim community is facing an avalanche of apostasy. In the Muslim world, Muslim leaders rely on violence, intimidation, and deception to keep young Muslims from questioning Islam. In the West, Muslim leaders rely primarily on deception. But that deception can only carry Islam so far. Young Muslims are being challenged to defend what they're saying, and when they try to defend it, they find out that it's simply not true. So they're leaving Islam. What's the solution, according to Bilal Phillips? More deception, more misinformation, more carefully edited stories that cover up what really happened. Good luck with that, Bilal. You keep lying to young people, and I'll keep seeing them on YouTube.
All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe. Sorry, this lighting is so crazy.